today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Erica Cruz's team claims boxer was denied due process and Amanda Serrano walking away from rematch.
Is that the situation?
Danny Espiros, Cruz's manager, informed Boxing Scene that his boxer had a VADA test administered that provided a negative result, but did not provide a date for the test based on such incorrect statements, and without allowing the process of VADA to conclude, the fight was unilaterally cancelled by MVP at the expense of the athlete's due process and causing serious and unjustified damage to the reputation of Erica Cruz, and Universal Promotions' Cruz's team said in a media statement.
You think this is what hurt Cruz's reputation? What about the test she already failed? A year before we got here. What about being stripped of the WBA title as a result? I would think if anything did damage to Erica's reputation, it would be that.
Espiros tells Boxing Scene that the team's focus will now switch to looking to secure a mandatory challenger position in the junior featherweight or featherweight division. Erica is disappointed with the fact that Amanda Serrano's team took away her opportunity to become a champion again due to fear of losing a third straight fight, and now, in front of her people, by using the situation as an excuse, said Espiros. At the end of the day, it has been proved that she is clean from any banned substance.
If they were so afraid of Amanda losing to Erica in a rematch, they wouldn't have offered it to her in the first place. Make it make sense. Amanda and MVP were under no obligation to offer Erica that opportunity. They did so voluntarily, but there was something in Erica's test that made them go another direction. VADA founder, Chair Dr. Margaret Goodman, declined to comment to Boxing Scene, stating that the organization does not discuss specific results. Boxing Scene's Jake Donovan has externally confirmed that the matter is still under investigation.
So it's not like Erica is already in the clear. Cruz of Mexico City last fought in May, stopping Maricruz Rodriguez Gonzalez in 6 rounds after serving a suspension for testing positive for a banned substance. And in the same form that she posted on her social media declaring her innocence, in the fine print, we still have 2 pending results and we'll report them once they become available. There was further testing being conducted on Erica's samples, and the people at MVP were not going to gamble the entire event based on what Erica had going on, so they nipped it in the bud. Because what if that further testing uncovers that Erica has once again tested positive for a banned substance while MVP allowed them time to conduct that investigation? They would have been out in the cold without a dance partner, so they decided to get ahead of this.
And I don't blame them.
Erica's reputation was already damaged. It's not like we're talking about an otherwise clean fighter that never popped for anything. You already popped over a year ago, and it costed you your belt. Now something else is going on, and they don't have to be patient with you. So sick and tired of this dog and pony show these fighters put on. Whenever they get popped or whenever something's going on, they play dumb.
And we're supposed to be dumb? We would have to be to believe it coming from Erica. No fighter who ever tested positive for anything ever copped to the rap. They never admit it.
So I don't expect Erica to. She never really addressed what happened over a year ago. Why were you stripped of the title? Why was there a banned substance in your system? You didn't explain that then. You have little to no explanation now. And the people at MVP, they don't have to be patient with you because it was their generosity.
It's the only reason you even got that opportunity is because they were being generous. It looks more like you screwed it up and you don't want to own up to it.
Whatever
the fuck ever. Every single fighter that finds themselves in this exact same situation loves to play dumb, but we're not dumb.
In men's cruiserweight news, former champion Chris Billam-Smith is set to become a free agent. He's confirmed that his current promotional deal with Boxer expires at the end of this year, which would make him a free agent. No, I don't know yet where my promotional future lies. I'm contracted with Boxer until the end of the year, but they could easily offer me something in the meantime or even after that period, and I could fight with them again.
Though for what? They don't have any bodies over there for him to fight. They don't have any alphabet titles.
And the money is not now what it was when he was on Sky Sports. Now that Boxer is with BBC, it's my understanding that the budget has shrunk considerably, and he may not get what he used to get. He had a successful run with Boxer, but the promotional outfit for Chris, I think, has outlived its usefulness. And moving forward, he might need to change his decorum. Chris used to fight on Matchroom before he migrated to Boxer, so maybe he could go back to them.
Got Jayo Patayo over there.
But you know what else?
What?
If Chris Billam-Smith were to go back to Matchroom, hypothetically, and then they make a play to get Chris a fight with the newly crowned WBC champion, Noel Michaelian, suddenly Chris Billam-Smith is back in the mix. Back in the game. The same would apply if Chris went over to Queensberry Promotions, as Queensberry could make the same play for a Noel Michaelian fight that Matchroom could.
But why would they?
Well, because Chris Billam-Smith, for all of his limitations as a boxer, is still a ticket seller. He sells fairly well in his native Bournemouth. He's currently coming off a win over Brandon Glanton in April of this year. It's turned out to be the only fight that he's had this entire calendar year. He may still be of some use to either Matchroom or Queensberry in the United Kingdom. So if they made an investment in him, that would be the why. That would be the reason. Get him the Noel Michaelian fight and see where it goes. Or feed him to Jai. Jai wants to fight him, and Jai's free.
He may also be a person of interest to the winner of Benavidez versus Zurdo. I know that Zurdo has already been there and done that with CBS. But what if David Benavidez beats Zurdo? Who does David fight after that?
He could fight CBS, because I don't think for a second he's going to return to the light heavyweight division. No. He's going to stay at cruiser if he wins those two alphabet titles. If he wins them, who does he defend them against?
Because he's not going to unify with Jai. I don't believe that for a second, but he could defend them voluntarily against CBS.
Those are Chris's options in the cruiserweight division. He's got some moves he can make, some paths he can peruse. He can also move up to bridgerweight.
It's what Lawrence Okolie did after Chris Billam-Smith beat him and took his brown belt. He moved up to bridger, won a title up there. Chris can do the same thing.
I like Chris Billam-Smith. He's an entertaining fighter to watch, albeit limited, and it's those limitations that will dictate how he moves moving forward, in tandem with the money and who's willing to kick out the most of it, the great motivator. Matchroom can put some money in his pocket, but so can Queensberry.
So this is yet another fighter that's jumping ship at Boxer. Savannah Marshall, Carolyn Dubois, Ben Whitaker, and now Chris Billam-Smith. Loyalty really is a four-letter word in the sport of boxing. It's been a successful run for Chris Billam-Smith at Boxer, but that relationship has outlived its usefulness. The money is not the same, and the money is what they're in it for.
I don't even blame him for changing his decorum at this stage in his career. He should seriously consider either going back to Matchroom or going over to Queensberry.
How the fuck is Boxer supposed to keep the doors open if they're hemorrhaging fighters like this? Who's gonna be next?
Who will be the next Boxer fighter to jump ship? Maybe it'll be Kara Sardingstall. Maybe it'll be Lauren Price. We'll see.
I'll ask you this question not because I believe the question, but just for the record, just so you can say it. Was there any discussion, any agreement about, hey, you need to get the fight into this round, you need to carry him for X amount of rounds, you need to do your part to get it into the 5th, 6th, or whatever?
Absolutely no way ever. I mean, if you look at a couple of the right hands that AJ missed with in the first couple of rounds, like they would have done the same job on Jake's jaw if they would have landed. And Jake did very well to avoid them. So I always said going into the fight, AJ's not the kind of guy that's going to come out like a train, just start swinging away. He's going to take his time, and that's what he did. You know, the fight definitely went a few more rounds than anticipated from Anthony, but it's like even now, it's like, yeah, it was definitely a fix. Some guy commented today on one of my posts, yeah, it was definitely a fix. I go, you do know that he's broken his jaw in 2 places. Like, he may never be able to fight again. People aren't really talking about this. People just think, oh, you just get your jaw wired, bolted together by a couple of screws, and on you go. There have been many fighters who have had their jaws broken that never boxed again. And they're like, yeah, oh, no, that might have been real, that bit. But the other stuff, it's like, we're not actors here, you know? Like, it was 100% real. There was never any strategy, any deal, any script. AJ wanted to land clean as soon as possible. Unfortunately, the only time he landed really clean was in the 6th round. And unfortunately, that happened to Jake. We didn't want that to happen to Jake. You know, ultimately, we wanted to win and get it over with. But that's the dangers that he took and the risk that he was in the fight. And, you know, we hope he can heal up.
I told you it wasn't fixed. That Anthony Joshua, if he accepted this fight, it's because it is a fight. Because he's not that broken down boxer that's so strapped for cash, he needs to sell his soul and sell himself to the circus. He still has plenty of money and more that he can make, other fights to sell, that he's not going to give away his reputation just for a few bucks with Jake. If he's fighting him, it's because it's a fight.
It's not fixed.
And he didn't carry him. The only reason it went as long as it went is because of the shenanigans from Jake. If some other boxers didn't last as long with Anthony, it's because those boxers were actually trying to win, stepping into their punches and not falling to their knees whenever Anthony approached them. That's what kept Jake in the fight. Moving away from Anthony, then going for a takedown approximately 12 or 13 times. If every boxer did that when they fought Anthony, a lot of fights would last long.
Longer than expected.
Now, why Jake Paul would have accepted this sizable risk where he's been so creative with the matchmaking in the past, well, he was pressed for time. The Gervonta Davis fight fell apart. He needed a fight big enough to keep Netflix involved, so they decided to roll the dice with Anthony, likely telling themselves, well, he is coming off a knockout loss, and he hasn't fought in over a year. Maybe we can win. Maybe we're catching him at the right time.
Even if we now know that they were wrong in that assertion, in that moment, when they had to make that decision, that's likely what they were telling themselves.
They were going to fight Gervonta, but that fell apart. Then they tried for Ryan, but Oscar wouldn't let it happen, and they needed someone big enough that Netflix would stay involved. So, they decided to roll the dice with Anthony.
It wasn't fixed.
It was a calculated risk, where they miscalculated.
So I actually quite like the fact that we got some rounds because got a chance to work with a new team. And all in all, it was a wonderful experience for us. I mean, AJ made a fortune. His star power in the US has gone through the roof. I mean, if you take any notice of the internet right now, I mean, he's just become like an icon, especially amongst the ladies, which he's been an icon over here amongst the ladies for many decades, but now in the US as well. And people are kind of coming across him for the first time, which is quite strange when I see that on social media, you know, because obviously from here, he's one of the most recognizable figures in sport. So yeah, wonderful experience. It ticks every box, right? Profile, money, activity. And it couldn't have gone better for us.
Much to the chagrin of Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua's detractors, this has turned out to be a largely successful endeavor for them.
And I didn't expect that. The positive reaction that we're seeing post-fight from so many people that don't otherwise watch boxing, I didn't anticipate that so many would take to Anthony Joshua.
That moment right before he knocks him out where he smirks, that became an instant meme that is now everywhere, circulating in circles that are not necessarily boxing circles. The exposure that Anthony's getting from this, I didn't anticipate that. It is a direct byproduct of Anthony Joshua boxing off-platform, off the zone, and on Netflix that is many times bigger, and something that we lost in the advent of streaming and the move away from conventional cable, the spillover.
In the days of conventional cable, casual observers flicking through the channels stood a better chance of bumping into a boxing match and may have decided to take it in. But when streaming took over and people started moving away from cable packages, we sort of lost that. Everything becoming so niche and so insulated, Anthony primarily fighting on DAZN that only really sports fans know about.
You won't get any outside exposure, even though Anthony is a global superstar already, well known in the United Kingdom and other parts of Europe, as well as Africa, and to a lesser extent in America.
He's already a star.
You can only reach so many people on a niche platform like DAZN that caters specifically to sports fans, whereas Netflix, everybody's got Netflix. Sports fans, people that like sitcoms, movies. It's big enough that you get the spillover on Netflix that you used to get on conventional cable networks.
All of these American broads that are just now finding out about this guy, swooning and soaking in their panties, would not have otherwise come across him if not for him boxing on Netflix. Because everybody's got Netflix, boxing fans and non-boxing fans.
For years now, whether people liked it or not, Anthony Joshua was already the A-side to Deontay Wilder, and already the A-side to Tyson Fury, already a bigger draw than them, all by himself. This
puts him over the top.
Don't let your opinion of Anthony Joshua's legacy, or his boxing, or him as a person get in the way of your objectivity. Right now,
He's gone viral.
and he was already a bigger draw than any of them. Anything he does is highly anticipated by his fans and his critics alike.
He's gone viral.
There was so much criticism going into the Jake Paul fight, how it might affect the sport, how it might affect the legacy, but where are all of those detractors now when they see the positive effect it's having on Anthony?
On his marquee value, on whatever he does moving forward. What is their assessment now?
This is why I got no stomach for the pearl clutching and what are supposed to be the boxing purists.
The guys like Lou DiBella that are belly aching about the sanctity of boxing.
Give me a break. The only reason you're mad is because you're not the one making any money from it. At the drop of a hat, if you could, you would. If you had a fighter that Jake Paul wanted to use for one of his shows, you would cash in on that just as easily as Eddie did.
If you could reap the same benefits as Anthony and make the same money that he made.
Of course you would, because that's the name of the game. This is prize fighting, after all. And like I said in a previous video, this profile boost that Anthony is now receiving in the United States has made anything else he does moving forward that much bigger, because now he's tapped into an entirely new audience that maybe didn't watch boxing before, but they're gonna want to now.
Doesn't really matter why.
It doesn't matter that it's a bunch of horny broads. More eyes is still more eyes.
More eyes on boxing, more eyes on AJ.
And that's what I didn't figure in the buildup of this fight. That beating Jake Paul would have a positive effect on AJ's profile and expose him to an entirely new audience. I don't know how that escaped me.
Just getting old, I guess.